Okay, so to solve quadratics by factoring, you have to make sure it's in standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c, and it's got to be set equal to 0. Anytime it's set equal to 0, that's when you know we're going to solve instead of just factor. Okay, so we're going to look at number 1. Don't pay attention to this 7 equals 0. It came from this. It should be 7 equals 0 over here, but it accidentally dropped. Okay, so just mark it off. We're not even going to do that one anyways. So our first problem, James, get off your phone, is 8x squared plus 2x minus 3. So first thing you want to check is everything set equal to 0. Yes, it is. So we don't have to do anything. We don't have to move anything to get it in standard form. Now, we're going to do the same steps we've been doing with factoring, where you're going to label A, B, and C. There is no GCF, right? So we don't take anything out at the beginning. So all we do is draw our T-chart. A times C. What's A times C? That goes on the left side. And this is B. So remember, when we find A times C, you factor it, which means you find the multiples of that number. So what is A? Is 8, right? C is 3. So what's 8 times 3? So you factor out 24. So it's 24 and 1. What's divided by 2? What is it? 12 and 2. Okay, now see if it factors by 3. 8 and 3. And then see if it goes to 4. 6 and 4. So those are all your factors of 24. So now what you look at is you look at this sign right here. Are we going to add or subtract those factors? You're going to subtract them. Boom, 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 boom. What is your B value? We forgot to write that down. 2, right? So what of those factors, 24 minus 1, that's 23. 12 minus 2, that's 10. 8 minus 3 is 5. 6 minus 4 is 2. So these are the factors that we're going to put in our parentheses. So remember, all we got to do, draw our parentheses and set it up. X plus 6 and x minus 4. Now, what you need to look at is your A greater than 1. It is. So this is where we do what method? Yeah, the kickback. All right. 6 divided by 8. Those both are divisible by what? They're both even, so they both divide by 2. So divide them by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 8 divided by 2 is 4. After you reduce, that number on the bottom goes to the front. It kicks. So this parenthesis becomes 4x plus 3. Now this one, this is 1/8. Or, I'm sorry, I went ahead. 4/8, which becomes 1/2. Okay? So what happens to the 2? It kicks and it becomes 2x minus 1. Yes. Okay. For what? I'm sorry. When? They'll call me when they get here. My phone's working, so they'll call. Or I'll send you here in a minute. Okay. So now we have our 2 parentheses, okay? And this is where it differs. So what you're going to do, and I'm going to move it over because I wrote too big, is you take this parenthesis and you set it equal to 0. So I'm going to write it a little bit smaller. 4x plus 3 equals 0. And then you take this parenthesis and you set it equal to 0. 2x minus 1 equals 0. So the point of solving is to find what values for x can go into that equation and make it work. That's what we're finding. Okay? So what I do is I solve for x. So when you solve, you add or subtract, then you divide. Add or subtract, then you divide. So you're going to add or subtract whatever's behind the x. So I'm going to do minus 3, minus 3. That gives me 4x equals negative 3. And then I divide. I'm sorry it's small. I started running out of room. I can make it bigger. So on this first one, are you okay? Do you need it? You want to go to the office? Go ahead. So x equals negative 3/4. Okay. And then this one, solve for x. So we're going to plus 1, 2x equals 1. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So x equals 1/2. And those are your answers. Boom, boom. So the only difference is now we're setting it equal to 0. So let's give it another shot. Okay, so let's do number 2. All right. So you don't have a GCF. So the first thing we do is just label A, B, and C. Draw your T-chart. The left side is A times C. So what's A times C? 15. That does not matter if it's negative or positive, okay? The only one that matters is the B. What is the B value? Negative 2. So let's factor out 15. So we got 15 and 1, 5 and 3. Okay, are we adding or subtracting those factors? Subtracting. So here's a quick thing that you can remember. If you're subtracting and this is negative, your B is negative, the bigger number of the two is negative. Okay, because 5 minus 3, that is a positive 2. So when that happens, all you have to do is flip the signs. Make the bigger number negative and the smaller number the positive. Because negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. Does that make sense at all? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so now we just set up what we did. We do n minus 5 and n plus 3. Since a is greater than 1, we have to do the kickback. Let's catch Britt. He's already on his way. Bye-bye. So 5 divided by 3. What's 5 divided by 3? Does that divide at all or reduce? It doesn't. It's already reduced. Okay? So what happens to this 3? It kicks. So this is 3n minus 5. And I'm going to go ahead and set it equal to 0 because I know I'm solving. Technically, it's in a parenthesis, okay? 3 divided by 3 becomes 1. So this parenthesis becomes n plus 1. And we're going to set that equal to 0. Now I'm just going to solve. So what is my steps to solving? What do I got to do first here? It is subtracted, so I have to do the opposite. You add. 3n equals 5. Then what do I do? Divide by 3. So n equals 5/3. Oops, let me move that. All right, and then on this one, it only has one step. What do I got to move? The 1. So this is n equals -1. So there's your answer. N equals 5/3, and n equals 1. Okay, let's look at number 4. Cross this out because this is something that came down a line that's not supposed to be there. So on this one, this is 4x squared plus or equals x plus 3. So there's something wrong with this one. What's wrong with this one? It's not all on one side set equal to 0, right? Because it's 4x squared equals. That equals needs to be on the end. So the easiest way to do it like this is you just move. We got to move the x to this side and the 3 to this side. So how do you move that? If this is a positive, what do you do? Subtract, and I'm going to move it. Well, I subtract x over here. I'm just going to write it above it. Okay? And then if I need to move this 3, what do I do? If it's positive, I've got to subtract, right? So now there's nothing over here. This side is now equal to 0. And I just write these in order. 4x squared minus x minus 3. Okay, so I moved everything to the left. Now I do what I've been doing, okay? So you label A, B, and C. A, B, and C. And then we draw our T-chart. So A times C is what? 12. That give me, what's your B? -1, right? So we've got 12 and 1, 6 and 2, 4 and 3. So are we adding or subtracting these factors? Subtracting. 4 minus 3 gives us +1. So since that 1 is negative, what do I need to do to the signs? You got to flip them, right? It's -4 plus 3. Okay, so now I do x minus 4, and then x plus 3. Divide each one by a, because a is greater than 1. So you got to do kickback. 4 divided by 4 gives you 1. 3 divided by 4, does that reduce? No, it doesn't, okay? So what do we do to that 4? It kicks to the front. 4x plus 3. We're going to set them both equal to 0. Now you just solve. Solve for x. How do I solve? You just do the opposite. You add. So this is going to be x equals 1. And then on this one, -3, -3. So you get 4x equals -3. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. So x equals -3/4. And there's your 2 answers. Show me with your thumbs. Good? No. Okay. More. Okay, good. Hold on. Drive me crazy. Okay. Soapbox over. Let's see. I'm going to do one more with you, but I'm going to pick well, all of them are pretty much the same. We'll just do 5. Okay. So this is 3x squared minus 13x equals 10. So what do I need to do to that 10? It needs to go to the other side, right? FYI, if you want to do it the quick way, when we moved the x and the 3 a second ago, this was a positive and this was a positive. When we moved it, what's the only thing that happened? They were positive and now they are negative. So if you just need to move something to the other side, if it's positive, when you write it on the other side, make it negative. Because technically I'm minusing 10. So it's negative 10. So if I have to move something across the equal sign, just change the sign. Okay. A, B, and C. Draw your T-chart. What's A times C? Yeah, 30. It is technically negative 30, but you don't have to worry about the negative. What's your B? Negative 13. So let's factor 30. We got 30 and 1, 15 and 2, 10 and 3, 6 and 5. Okay, that's it. Okay, so are we adding or subtracting? Subtracting, right. Because, and that's important because if you added them together, would it be the same factors? No, because 15 minus 2 is what gives me 13. If I did 10 plus 3, that would also be 13. So you have to make sure that you pay attention to that sign. Now that 13 is negative, so what do I need to do to these? Yeah, I need to flip them. The bigger number has to be negative. All right. So now I've got x minus 15 and x plus 2. Do I have to do the kickback? Is that greater than 1? Yes, it is. So that's when I do the kickback. Divide by 3, divide by 3. 15 divided by 3 gives you 5. Yeah, I'm going to set that equal to 0. And then what happens to this? It just kicks. And now I solve. Plus 5, plus 5. So x equals 5. And then minus 2, minus 2. 3x equals negative 2. Divided by 3, divided by 3. So x equals negative 2/3. Questions? Okay, let's look at your homework. I think there's a mix. I want to do. How many questions are on your homework? 12. Okay, hold on. We're going to pick 8. Nah, 10's good. I'm going to do one with you, so you're technically only going to do 8 anyways. I'm going to pick 10. Save. Let me pull it up. It is. Is anybody else waiting to hear the STAR test is canceled again? It ain't going to happen, I don't think. I think they would have already done it. Y'all will be fine. I think what they might do is they'll probably like lower the standards, you know? They're still going to make you take it. Heck, I don't know. Maybe I'm just assuming, but I'm pretty positive that might be what happens. I don't know. Okay, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you 1, and I wanted to talk about 2 also. Okay, so on 1, it is set equal to 0, but there is an issue. We're missing something. Okay, so C is equal to 0. Well, you can't find factors of 0, right? So notice this is x squared plus 7x. What can we do to that? Does anybody know? So the first thing they want you to do is always look for a greatest common factor. Yes, greatest common factor. What is the greatest common factor of x squared plus 7x? Not squared, because remember it's the lowest. So this has 2x and this has 1. So what can we take out? You can take out 1x, okay? And then that's going to give you x plus 7 equals 0. This is just like we did earlier when it was greatest common factor, okay? So so that's basically saying x is an option and x plus 7 is an option. So you just set those equal to 0. So x can equal 0 because I'm setting this equal to 0. And then I'm going to do x plus 7 equals 0. Because it's factored, after you take out the greatest common factor, there's nothing else you can do. That is factored. Okay? So then what do I do to this? Minus 7, x equals negative 7. So your 2 options are x equals 0 and x equals negative 7. Okay, what about this one? So this is x squared. We don't have an x, but we do have a number. So this is your what value? A. We don't have a b, but we do have a c. So you can still do the t-chart if you're missing your b. Okay, because here's why. So you're going to do your t-chart. So we're going to find the factors of a times c. So 9 times 100 is 900, right? And then we want to find the factors of 900 that give us 0. Because there is no b, right? B is 0. You agree with me on that? Okay. And we're still going to subtract. So what are some factors? So it's got to be something like 10 minus 10, 25 minus 25. So that's the factor we're trying to find of 90 or 900. Anybody know what it is? What times what gives you 900? That's the same number. 30 times 30. So if I do 30 minus 30, what does that give me? 0. So nothing, it just because we're missing the b, it's okay. You're going to do the same thing that we've been doing. So x plus 30 and x minus 30. We do have to do the kickback because a is greater than 1. So let's divide by 9. divided by 9. That's going to reduce to 10 over 3. This is the same, so it reduces to 10 over 3. The 3 does what? Kicks. I'm going to write it over here. So I get 3x plus 10. And this 3 also kicks. So it's 3x minus 10. And you set them equal to 0. And you solve. Okay, so finish that one. Okay, let me talk about this one real quick, and I'm going to help you if you wanted to do this one. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. You don't have to listen to me. Actually, I want you to pay attention and write it down. You don't have to complete it, though, okay? Okay, so the issue is I need all of that stuff on the right side to go to the left side. So how do I move a positive x squared? You subtract it. So I'm going to subtract it from the x squared, like terms. This is a positive 4x, so how do you move it? Subtract it. This is a positive 70, so how do I move it to the other side? I subtract it. Okay, so I'm done with these. I've set this side equal to 0. Now you just add or subtract straight down. So this is 2 minus 1. What's 2 minus 1? 1. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 10 minus 70 is negative 80. Now you can factor. Okay, so you'll still have 10 minutes left, 6 minutes before your timer goes off. And then we'll leave not long after that. So make sure you get as many as you can completed. Actually, you only have 10. I've done 2 for you. 3, basically. So now you have 7 problems. I would work through the ones that have x squareds first that are easy. Oh, let's look at 6 before you move on. 5 and 6 both have a greatest common factor. So does 7. 3, 12, and 15 are all factors of 3. So you're going to GCF a 3 out. So this is going to become x squared minus 4x minus 5. And then you're going to factor this. Don't even pay attention to the 3. Same with 7. 2, 24, and 54 are all multiples of 2. And don't do 7. I haven't talked to you about negatives yet. All right, you let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to pause.